Hello, welcome back to the Late Night Talks podcast. My name is Hafid, also known as Hafidos, and I am your host for this podcast. If you are listening in on Spotify or Apple Music, thank you for tuning in. And if you are on YouTube, hi. And also Spotify, hi. You can see the video. But hello, welcome back to another episode. Last week's episode was quite emotional and quite personal. I feel like I really exposed myself to the way I was feeling in the moment. But this week's episode is a bit different because I want to talk a bit about my struggles and my non-stop battle with anxiety and just overthinking everything in life. I feel like as someone who is in their early 20s, I am very prone to over analyzing and over criticizing my life and really just trying to envision my future when I should really be living in the moment and just appreciating myself as I'm growing up. But I really just can't control the entire thing where I just lay there and I keep on thinking and keep on analyzing, keep on trying to figure out what my life will look like in a year, what my life will look like in a few months. And yeah, I'm graduating next week, so make sure to look forward to that episode. I'm going to be recording a podcast episode in my gown, post graduation, how I feel, all of that. But yeah, in this episode, I'm going to be talking about, I don't know, growing up, I feel like I've always been a person to ask question why. I never really settle for like not knowing the answer to everything. From a very, very young age, if anyone would tell me anything, the first question I would ask is why? Why is it like that? Why is it not like this? And why is everything the way it is? Why do we accept it as it is? And I think that was an early sign that growing up, I will struggle with anxiety and the idea of just getting lost in my head thinking about everything. I feel like I find myself thinking and overanalyzing everything when I'm alone, which is something that I've been really trying to avoid, is the entire thing of letting myself be alone or not surrounded by good vibes and good energies. Because if I do reflect a bit on when I do find myself just lost in my thoughts, it's mostly before I go to bed. And it's the entire reason why I started this podcast. This podcast was started from the vision of, oh, I can sit down and talk about how I'm feeling rather than just overanalyzing and thinking about it. And I feel like last night was one of the times I really just didn't record because I feel like it wasn't the time, because it was such a raw moment. I wanted myself to be able to digest and understand why I was feeling the way I was, and then be able to translate that into, hey, listen, if you're struggling with this, you can do this to better help yourself. And yeah, last night I feel like I wasn't really doing that well mentally. I had a lot of doubts and I was quite overwhelmed with everything in life. And to be honest, something which is funny, which always happens naturally, like on its own, but I always like to say that my room reflects my mental state, because anytime my room is messy and anytime my room is undone, it means that mentally I am struggling, mentally I am over analyzing, mentally I am overthinking. If everything looks like it's all over the place, my thoughts are all over the place. Right now my room is clean, like it's organized, and I feel like yesterday when I was really analyzing and over thinking, I decided, hey, listen, just get up, focus on the now, focus on the present, and just get shit done. Stop thinking about everything and stop trying to understand everything. Just take it as it is, and it will slowly make sense on its own. So I literally just decided to put on a podcast, and yeah, I decided to just clean my room, do some skincare, chill out, be able to just live in the present, not really try to, get too much into my head. But yeah, I do find myself in a lot of moments where I'm just sat there frozen, like literally I'm frozen in thoughts. I'm just thinking and I can't do anything. I just keep on thinking. And even when it comes to pushing myself to try to do something, if I'm not distracted by something I enjoy, I will literally non-stop repeat that same loop of thinking about the same thing in my head until I feel it is resolved, or I have some sort of answer. As a young adult growing up, when you were younger, you might have certain things which are more part of your life, so school, friends, and that entire thing. But as you slowly grow up and you get into your 20s, things shift, and to be honest, you start creating your own priorities and you start creating your own, hey, listen, this amount, like friends make up 20% of my life, and work makes up 50 or 60 or 70% of my life. Social life is this, and self care is this. And I feel like when I am most in doubt and when I am most uncertain about life, it is whenever there is an imbalance about this. And I always try to catch myself whenever I don't have, like, for example, a work life balance where I'm overworking myself and I'm unable to, like, see anything further than just work. Even like with love life, like sometimes be I'll romanticize the idea of being with someone so much that I'll just seek it out and I'll keep on chasing that idea of, oh, I want to be with this person, oh, I want to go on dates to be able to find the one. And I'm like, listen, you're not gonna find the one overnight. You're not gonna be able to just create this entire, like, so many people think about love life as being this, like, you find the one and it's your soulmate and that's it. And so many times I catch myself thinking with this idea, because to be honest, I'm not into hookup culture. I'm not into that entire thing. I don't get the point of, like, having a slight connection and just removing it. I'm quite the person that even, like, on a friend basis, if I just become friends with you, I want to stay friends with you. Like, we might drift apart at some certain points, but like most of the time it's because of, like, I don't see you that often. If I see you every day, if we, like, live close by, if we, like, our works merge together, and if it's a lot of stuff which creates this sort of, like, smaller sub-circle within my life where I'm seeing you constantly, you are one priority of my life, like, on a friendly level or more. But yeah, that whole thing of trying to find the in-between. And yeah, growing up, I've spoken about this. I was always the yes person to say yes to everything, and I didn't really let myself do other things in life because I have this issue where I hyperfixate on certain things, and I hyperfixate on certain, I don't know what to call them, certain aspects of life. I think that's a better wording for trying to explain what work, friends, love life, personal life, social life, everything makes up within your life. Oh god, this is becoming complicated. I overanalyze those aspects of my life whenever there's an imbalance within that. And I don't live in the present as much, and I really want to start living in the present. Like, this week I graduate, and I've been building up this entire idea that I'm graduating and I'm gonna get to the finish line finally for my school and education, that the time has come now and I'm not enjoying it in the moment. I'm, like, constantly thinking about, like, what I'm gonna do after that and what's the next step. 2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead. No. But it's that constant, like, oh, I need to figure out what I'm doing next. And rather than, like, finishing what I'm doing now and, like, focusing on the now, I'm always, like, trying to make sense of the future, even though the future might be uncertain, and that's okay. You get my gist. I feel like anything good that happens in my life, I always ask myself, why is this happening to me, and what the bad side is going to be. Something about anxiety and just the entire thing of overthinking is whenever something happens, you always think of the worst case scenario. I don't know why, my brain immediately goes to that. My brain immediately thinks of, okay, what if this happens? And then I let myself accept that, so that if it happens, I'm already in the point where I'm like, I'm fine with this. I was expecting this. But if I'm at the point where something better happens, I'm like, oh, this wasn't expected, and it's a good outcome. I hate the feeling of being disappointed, and I hate the feeling of being let down. So most of the time I try to allow myself to feel like that's gonna happen, just to be able to see it coming. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, whenever something good happens, or whenever life starts feeling too good to be true, because sometimes you have those moments where you're like, everything is good in life and everything feels really nice and everything feels really good, I just ask myself and I'm like, okay, where is it? Where's the camera? Where are you hiding? Like, what's about to happen? What bad thing is about to happen? To be honest, I ask myself if I manifest that into my own life, the bad thing happening, because I expect it and I keep on telling myself, oh, something bad will happen. So immediately when anything slightly goes wrong, my brain thinks of that as being the bad thing. So It's like when you wake up and you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to have a good day, or oh, I'm going to have a bad day. Anything that happens is like a placebo of your already biased thinking of the day, or like that idea. It's like if I believe that a person is wrong, or if I believe that a person is bad, anything they do, whether it's normal, whether it's good, whether it's bad, I see it with my own filter because I already have that like preconceived judgment. To be honest, I get a lot of, like, throwback to another episode, I get a lot of imposter syndrome when things be happening to me which are good, and I'll ask myself and I'll be like, am I deserving of this? Why me though? Like, what is special about me? Why am I the person that is getting this? And sometimes I ask myself if I'm good enough, and sometimes I ask myself if this is like I am worthy of that. And it's very frustrating, and it's very frustrating. Yeah. It's very frustrating trying to understand how I am seen, because that's another thing about overthinking and anxiety. I always have this feeling of, oh, I need to put out the best version of myself so I don't get judged. But also at the same time, I feel like I need to prove myself to people when I really don't. But also, that's just me overthinking and over. I feel like if I show people I am good enough, they'll believe that I'm good enough, even though I don't believe that. Even though I believe that I am not worthy, even though I believe that I'm not the best at something. If I just fake it, people will believe it, and then hopefully they will make me feel that. And even with the whole thing of stressing and being anxious about what people think about you, I feel like I don't really let myself be loose and like let go of people's ideas of me. And I constantly am fearful that people see me in a light which isn't me, myself. Like, I am scared that people might think that I am a certain way, even though I don't present myself that way. But I'm like, did I say this wrong? Did I say something bad? Do people not like me? Do people think I don't like? Do people think I'm annoying? That's something that I spoke about in like an episode where I was like, why do I do what I do? No one's asking for it. No one wants it. So why am I doing it? And it's that entire thing of, if no one's asking for it, why do I put myself in this scenario and situation? But at the same time, I do it for myself, and I do it just for the self-satisfaction and just the self pleasure of like, I did that. That is a piece of work which is mine. Like with this podcast, that's an example of, oh yeah, I did this podcast. I am producing it. I am literally coming up with the ideas and concepts. And although I might not personally feel like as time goes on, I will grow up and my thoughts will change. But I feel like this is almost like a time capsule where I'll get to see myself back. Like, I'll be able to go back and see myself at this point in life where I'm 21 years old and I'm thinking like this, and I'm like talking about my fears and my anxieties and like what has made me feel like the biggest doubt or the biggest issue in life is, when in 5 years it could be totally different. It probably will be totally different, and probably the things that I think are right now will not all be right. And even on this podcast, sometimes I catch myself, I feel like I want to have, and I already have, the answers to life, and I have so much to talk about, but at the same time I don't, because I have so much to learn and so much to grow from. But it's so nice just to be able to live in that unknown of what life is and what you will learn from life and what process will come out of life. Recently I watched Anora, which I really want to talk about because that movie was so real, and when I was watching it, I didn't feel like I was watching actors acting characters, and I didn't feel like the characters were fictitious. I felt like they were real people living their life, and it's the way I could relate to the main character for the way that she couldn't really express herself. Like by the end scene, a lot of people have been talking about that, on why I don't want to spoil the movie because, of course, if you want to watch it, please, like, this is going to be a semi spoiler, but it's really not. I just want to talk about the way the character expresses herself. Anora, the character she is, has been brought up in a society where she doesn't know anything from like the color blue. And for once, she is experiencing the color red. And when she was experiencing the color red, she didn't know how to express herself. So she kept on like presenting herself as the color blue. And slowly but surely, she mixed in with the color and she tried to sort of align with the color red. But rather than it being like a red, it was more of like a pink, like a magenta. So when she ended up becoming this magenta, she really found herself that she couldn't really be her true identity. Like she had to almost fake it. And at the end of the film, you see her almost embrace this difference, and she goes back to first. She goes back to expressing herself as blue. I'm saying blue. I'm saying these because I don't want to spoil it. So there's no colors in this. Like there is colors in this movie, but there's no like this. What I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the character. But Anora expresses herself with the color blue, and another character expresses himself with the color red, and she rejects that red, but then she just cries. And it's the first time I feel like in the movie where you see the character of Anora cry and not be angry. I feel like throughout the film she had to fight for herself and defend herself and almost like be the person that she had to become her own support system. So she didn't have like a mother figure to go back to. She didn't have a father figure to go back to. She was her own person. And even when there were even when my favorite scene is when they try to tie her up. And yeah, this is a spoiler. Please, like, if you don't want to hear spoilers, skip ahead like by a minute or so. But this crazy this crazy Russian this crazy Russian security guard, I don't know what to call him, but basically he is the guard for one of the he is the guard for the family who are millionaires. And basically he tries to tie her up because she was really being crazy and like fighting and shit. And even when he tried tying her up, she didn't stop fighting and she didn't stop like trying her best to, be free. And it's funny because when she was in a position of like there's no other way to go, like when she was cornered, she would like plead and like ask please untie me. And then they would proceed to untie her, and then she would proceed to like hit and bite and shout. And it was so like nice to see because it was so unserious, but also at the same time you would see this character almost like unable to feel sad or bad for herself. She would just feel this like, hey, listen, I'm in a fight or flight situation. Yeah, I'm in a fight or flight situation and I need to figure this shit out. There's no point in me like giving up. The option of giving up for her was non-existent. And it was so nice to see because by the end of the film, she just lets go of that. And for once, she gives up and she just cries. And you see her actually feel sad rather than angry or like, betrayed or annoyed. She feels sad and she lets out her true, genuine emotion. And it was so nice because even in my last episode, okay, for those who didn't want spoilers, you can come back. This is the point where you can come back. But I didn't spoil much. So, you can still watch the movie and enjoy it. I really want to go back and watch it. Like, Anora is such a... it's so nice. I don't think I've seen a movie portray characters to such a real, raw level as that movie. Unless it's like a documentary, But I don't know, even like the entire film is not like one monotone emotion. It's not like sad. It's not happy. It just is a roller coaster of what life is. And I'd find myself laughing at points which I wouldn't expect myself to be laughing at, but I laugh at them because I could relate to them and I could get what the characters are going through. And even at certain points, I like want to look away because it feels too raw and it feels too real that I'm like looking into and invading someone's space. And I don't want to do that because it's like supposed to be private, which is so great and so amazing that they're able to... Oh my, why am I... What the fuck just happened? I just felt my eyebrow twitch all of a sudden. That was weird. It's like I almost got this like radio frequency. I don't know what that was. But yeah, it was such a raw, real movie that it just moved something in me that I didn't think film would be able to, or I thought film was able to some certain extent. And I could really relate to the character of Enora, that by the end of the movie, she lets go and she just cries for once, and she's able to like not have these walls be built up. And sometimes I feel like that with myself. When I get to the point where I'm overthinking way too much and I've built these walls and I'm trying to protect myself and I'm trying to like defend myself and I'm trying to like protect the Hafid at core, which is the Hafid which I feel really protective over. Like the Hafid which I try to defend and the Hafid which I try to protect is the kid back when he was like 14, I feel like, and he was at that stage where he was a preteen entering his teenage years and he was unsure of life and he wanted to do so many things. And now that like reality is hit, the more I learn and the more I grow, the more shells I have to build for that Hafid. But at my core, I still feel like I am that kid and I am that soul, which is nice to think of, but also at the same time it's so weird that I'm like referring to myself in like the third person. But I actually do genuinely feel like that, because sometimes when I'm at really low points, sometimes when I'm at really low points, I feel like I am, because most of the times I don't like showing emotions to people I know. So when I'm at really low points, I'm alone, but I look at myself and I see myself be that kid again, and I let out raw emotions. And in my last episode where I said I'm not okay, that episode 6, I feel like you were able to see a glimpse of that Hafid that is so young and so unsure and so like new and so like, I don't know, like I didn't feel like I needed to hide anything from that, and I just embraced the unsureness and the sadness of it. And I even like almost cried at some points in that episode, which to be honest I feel like that's the most it's gonna get emotionally. Like I don't think I'm able to like full on cry in front of a camera. Maybe if I'm like with people, but I don't want to cry in front of a camera. Like, sorry, but no. I feel like even if I would cry, I would just cut it out. I'd be like, nope, no one has to see that. Thank you. I feel like there's no point in me crying over myself and throwing a pity party when in reality, like, it's just life and you need to like, sorry, this is gonna sound quite kind of harsh, but like sometimes you just need to grow up here and grow up, you know? You can't really like just sit there and cry over life. You know, the life happens. It is what it is. Like you don't really have to. It's funny because I say this now, but when I overthink and overanalyze a situation, I'm always like panicking over the what ifs, and I'm like, what if this happens and what if this happens? And then it happens, and then I'm like, okay, it's life, it's whatever, we move on, we live, we learn. And I feel like that's the pros of overthinking, I guess. You like learn to expect the unexpected, but also not be disappointed by what happens. Like you in your head you expect the worst, and then when the worst happens or when something else from the worst happens, you're like, this is fine, this is okay. I don't know why I feel like that, but I also feel like there's others that feel like that, because I don't know, like it can't just be me. So recently I was scrolling over on TikTok, and I think my last episode, or no, I had an episode, I think it was episode 2. No. So I had Hi Hello, let's go through the episodes. Hi Hello, Nothing Will Change If Nothing Changes. Episode 3 was alone, being alone and lonely. So even like last episode, I'm Not Okay, I spoke about me feeling like I'm lonely rather than just being alone. And someone spoke about on TikTok, it was like a viral video, but it was a guy who spoke. I wish I could go back to the video, but it's somewhere on there. But he spoke about this feeling that he's been having, that growing up in his 20s, he feels really lonely. And he had, like, even after COVID and even getting through the pandemic and being in quarantine, there is just this feeling right now where it could be like a lot of people going through their 20s are feeling, even when you grow up, like when you get to your 30s and 40s. I feel like it's part of the growing process. But you get this feeling and this like, it's like it never goes away, because it's always like hovering over you, of like, oh, I'm alone in this. Oh, like I am alone, which is so weird because I ask myself and I'm like, realistically, and like, if we have to think about it logistically, I am not alone as in number of people, but the feeling of being alone in life is just something that you feel when you feel like you can't find yourself in others. And I spoke about this where I was able to find myself in others, but also at the same time, it's very frustrating when you're unable to be surrounded by people that you can find yourself in. And being from Malta, it's like 500,000, 500,000 people live here. And although I might be able to find a niche number of people, not being able to be somewhere where it's much more densely populated and there's much more of a creative field, it's harder to find yourself and it's harder to be able to see yourself in others. Saying that, I have found myself in others and I have found myself in some amazing, great people who are living here in Malta. And I feel like those people I always manage to connect with without needing to say much. You know, it just is a feeling of, oh, like I know what you're going through and probably you know what I'm going through because we're basically going through the same thing. And it's funny because someone I literally saw myself in was like younger than me. I think she is like 17. I think she 17 turning 18. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think she's 17 turning 18. She's younger than me. I'm 21, you know? But my time being 17, 18, 19 were lost because of COVID. But yeah, when I was 16, I was trying to do YouTube, I was trying to do content creation, I was trying to be creative, I was really doing everything and anything. But I was like this weird kid that couldn't really express himself and couldn't really like find the words to be able to say stuff. And also I felt really shy pulling up a camera. And like, I feel like although my generation is quite normalized to the idea of, yeah, we have YouTube, yeah, we have content creators, yeah, we have TikTok. You need to remember that when I was 16, when I was recording vlogs for YouTube back in 2019, which is so weird to say because 2019 was 6 years ago. Damn, that's been a while. But yeah, 2019 was 6 years ago. We didn't have TikTok, and I feel like TikTok has like aged and like sort of pushed social media so much further than it is. Like right now in Malta, for example, there's so many TikTok content creators or like Instagram content creators. But yeah, something that I want to go back to is I found myself within this kid because she is literally like a teenager and like she is really young. But I found myself in her because I see that spark of, oh, I want to do this and oh, I want to create this and oh, I want to do so many things. And yet when COVID happened, I was like, hey, listen, let me have a step back and let me like focus on more professional things like video editing and like directing and stuff like that, like filmmaking. And I feel like if COVID hadn't happened and I had pursued that is one of my life lines that would have like happened, and like some alternate universe where COVID didn't happen, where I just kept on doing YouTube. I went to university for like physics and maths, and like that could have not worked out or that could have worked out. But that spark and that like passion for like doing something, even though you might not be getting the most monetary gain or even though you might not be able to live off of it sustainably, is like something you still do just for the enjoyment of, oh hey, I'm providing this for a community, or oh hey, I'm creating this for myself. It is so nice to be able to meet artists and creative people who just create things just because they want to. And they create things because they have a genuine passion for, oh, I want to create memories. Oh, I want to be able to have this be mine. Like have this work be mine and I am able to call it mine and I'm able to like put it out into the world and people get to like see it and appreciate it. Recently, I heard Rose, who is having her album come out on the 6th of December, but she recently spoke about her trying to enjoy the baby that she created, which is the album, as being her own genuine experience. And because she knows that things will change when she puts it out. And I feel like when you get to the level where you're that type of famous, because she is famous, like famous. And even with the recent release of APT, I was going to say Apata, but APT with Bruno Mars, that song went so viral that her name has been pushed out even more as a soloist. And I feel like I, as a content creator and as like a micro influencer, I love the word influencer. Like there was this time where I hated when people called influencer, but I swear to God, it's you know when people say slay and that in that ironic, I don't know what to say, but you know when people say slay just to be able to say slay and like meme on the word slay. I feel like influencer is becoming, it's coming back, but it's coming back as like a meme. It's like, as a micro influencer, I have to appreciate this moment. I have to appreciate myself right now, because even this podcast and even my vlogs and even my reaction videos and even my concept music videos and even my whatever I create is like, unless it goes crazy big, like for example, I had this recent remix with APT and Girlfriend by Avril Lavigne explode over on TikTok, and on YouTube like the remix itself also got like thousands of views. I feel like you get lost in the numbers and you get lost in people like praising you, that you don't appreciate why you created that and why you wanted to do that. And like this podcast, I really want to, like, with my podcast and even my vlogs, like recently I re-uploaded my first ever solo traveling vlog, and for the longest time I had those videos unlisted because I felt like they weren't good enough or they didn't represent myself as well. So like, instead of leaving it in the vault, I was like, hey listen Hafid, you do vlogs because you actually genuinely enjoy it, and you do vlogs because you want to preserve the memory of something, and I have so many other vlogs in the vault which I'm slowly trying to get out. If I'm able to find myself, my style for now, my editing style and my sort of visual aesthetic for now, why don't I just re-edit and why don't I just push it out again, you know? Because I'm at a point where I feel like I am able to communicate myself and be able to like show a version of myself which I am satisfied with. I feel like the most frustrating part of trying to become, the most frustrating part of having a voice within, for example, social media, is the inability to be able to express yourself just because you still haven't found yourself vocally, in terms of like, when I say your voice, it means your visuals, the way you talk, the way you dress, the way you look, all of that sort of becomes who you are as a person, as a sort of the person that you present yourself into the public. And for the longest time, I just used to bash myself and sort of tell myself I should be better at just being myself. And I couldn't really express myself and I couldn't really edit myself to like be the best, truest. Yeah, instead of be the best, let's say I was unable to show my truest form, which is so weird to say, but also you get it if you do something within the communications industry, I guess. But yeah, even like with filmmaking, for example, so many ideas come up where you need to then break it down and understand how you can express yourself and how you can like show yourself or show or justify that film idea or that concept in its truest potential, in its truest form, using the means necessary and also using the tools that are possible and realistic. You know, like all of that becomes, like all of that works together to be able to become the piece of work you put out. Slowly but surely, I am working towards being more mindful and trying to be more present and appreciate the things I have right now. Because to be honest, a big fear of mine and something I'm really like starting to feel like I need to either fix now or else I'm going to regret it later is not appreciating things I have now, because later on I might not have them present in my life, and I'll learn the value of those things that I've lost without I learn the value of the things that I've lost when it's too late and you can't have them back, you know? So it's very important that although sometimes overthinking is great and sometimes it is necessary, because I feel like as people, even for our own survival, overthinking was always something great in like human nature. But at the same time, you need to be more mindful and more present. And if you're thinking about something you want to do, something which is possible to do right now, I feel like the biggest fix and the easiest thing to be able to make it feel better is just to fix it and amend it and do it now. Stop thinking about it, just do it. Rather than like overanalyzing and overthinking about the things in life that are uncertain, go for the things which you know you can have be certain either now or in the near future. But yeah, I need to be much more mindful and I need to for sure be much more appreciative of the things that I do have, because although I do complain quite a bit on this podcast, oopsie, I do complain quite a bit on this podcast about like how life doesn't make sense and how life is such a big question mark and how sometimes I'm uncertain about life. Some things are certain and some things I do know, and even giving credit to yourself for the point that you've gotten to, like me graduating, I'm always thinking about what's next. And rather than me like looking back at like the past 6 years, I'm like talking about back when 2019 happened. Past COVID and like COVID, my life totally changed. I feel like my life did a full 360, 180, whatever. Like it did so many different maneuvers that everything happened all at once, and everything happened so quickly that I don't know how I got to this point. And I feel like the more you grow and the older you get, things will happen more like that, you know? Like soon enough I'll be 25 and I'm like, I don't know how I got to 25, and I'll be looking back at when I was 21 and I was like, oh yeah, life was so much more simpler and life was so much easier to like make sense of it. Soon enough I'll be 25, and soon enough I'll be 30, and soon enough I'll be 50, and soon enough I'll be 60, and soon enough I'll be dead. No. Oh god, I can't mention that, and I can't mention like some certain things because Spotify like gets when I'm uploading the podcast, it's like, you need to remove this. So I need to make sure to be a bit filtered. But basically, soon enough, life will be over. And soon enough, things will happen. And I feel like time is an illusion. It's just something we created to be able to like see things grow and sort of things pass. I don't know if that makes sense. Oh my god, I feel like I'm rambling on some. I'm onto something, but also I'm not onto something. Let me cook for a quick sec. You are unable to like really understand how these small minute things might really compile and become something big in your future, and they will become the things that will shape you as a person once you're older and once you grow and once life starts changing. And for a lot of us, a shared universal thing that almost changed all of us is COVID. COVID had some sort of effect on all of us. It like changed the trajectory of our lives, whether we like to admit it or not. It's something we all saw coming unexpectedly, and it just happened, and we weren't warned about it, and no one knew it was coming. It just happened, and we had to adjust to it, and we had to really like just accept it for what it was, whether it was fair or not. Like so many people lost their jobs, so many lost, I don't know, like school opportunities, and so many people had to like move back or like leave their home country. So many people had to like change their lives for COVID, for the pandemic. And I feel like so many things might happen right now which might seem as issues or problems which you might not want to go through, but once you go through them, you grow so much as a person and you change so much as a person that you look back and you're like, I am thankful for that happening to me because it made me the person I am now. And it really challenged myself to see how far I'm able to push myself. Okay, so that's it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and rate this podcast 5 stars. I'll see you in the next week's episode, which is a special one because I'll be in my toga and I'll be graduating. So yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. If you still haven't seen my vlogs over on Hafidos IRL, I'm posting weekly every Sunday, and also I'm working on some things over on Hafidos. I do have a concept album coming out soon, and also I do have some reaction videos over on Hafidos too for some songs that I've been looking at recently. But yeah, anyways, that's it. I'll stop yapping and I'll let you guys go and continue with your lives. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day, or a good night, or a good morning, wherever you are in the world. Bye.